Hey everybody, Zach here, and it is time for the show that can only be described as a mishmash of various forms of entertainment. Sit back and relax and get ready because we are on air. What's going on? It's your boy Zach here, and we are in for another half hour of a mishmash of entertainment. First story of the show, have you heard of this new anti-sunscreen movement spreading across social media? That is the newest thing making its way through TikTok because, you know, TikTok isn't usually used by the brightest of folk. But anyway, I digress. According to CTV News, a buff tan man says he has an important message from the sun god. Ooh, if you use sunscreen, you're literally blocking yourself from the most important aspect of health, and that is light and exposure, he said in a TikTok video from one of Florida's beaches. Wow. Normally we save Florida Man until the end, so this is great. We're on to a great start here, guys. Though I think this guy's been in the sun a little too much. The man with the handle Captain Morgan is part of the anti-sunscreen movement that claims sunscreen can cause more harm than good. Those behind the trending term claim the chemicals in sunscreen can cause cancer, and use of the product can lead to vitamin D deficiency, which weakens the immune system. Okay, first of all, that's a hard word to say, immune. Okay, first of all, I'll admit one thing. I hate sunscreen. I hate it being put on me because, I mean, can you just imagine the feel of the cold, wet sunblock like on the back of your neck or on your nose? But anywho, I could never go this route of anti-sunscreen because I am white, okay? Some may say pasty white boy, which is true. That is exactly what I am. I'm whiter than vanilla. So I need sunblock exposure. And, you know, pale white people, we don't tan. We burn. Just even 3 minutes out in the sunshine has me sounding like a skillet. In fact, that's exactly what it sounds like. Oh, here comes Zach. But dermatologists are sounding the alarm about the misinformation from the anti-sunscreen movement, saying not wearing sunscreen is what will actually cause cancer, among other problems. So let me be clear and let me send a message. If you are worried about the acne on your face and you choose not to wear sunscreen or go this route, you're going to have more than acne, maybe an unflattering mole for your prom is what you're going to have. Anywho, moving on to someone who doesn't see the sun all that much, Billie Eilish. Eilish is turning heads for her stance on 3-hour concerts, calling them literally psychotic. Not any more psychotic than her music. According to The Hollywood Reporter, Billie Eilish fans shouldn't expect 3-hour concerts anytime in the near future. Following the release of her third studio album, Hit Me Hard and Soft, the Grammy and Oscar winner took to the music app Stationhead to answer fan questions live. When asked if she would ever perform a 3-hour-long show similar to what Taylor Swift and Beyonce, both queens, have done for the Eras Tour and Renaissance World Tour respectively, Eilish responded, "I'm not doing a 3-hour show. That's literally psychotic." Okay, first of all, sit down. 3-hour shows are for people who actually have hits, okay? As far as I'm concerned, I've only heard one Billie Eilish song. I don't know what tour she's doing, but she ain't got enough for an actual tour, okay? So, second, you are nowhere near the level of Beyonce and Taylor Swift, who can sing for one. I find every time I've heard Billie Eilish sing, she mumbles. Ladies and gentlemen, Billie Eilish. But also, I'm thinking, is this how you also want to do a press tour? I mean, shading other artists for 3-hour shows? I mean, you're promoting your new album and saying that it's just wrong. You're saying artists shouldn't be doing 3-hour shows. It's totally psychotic. Also, I was at the Eras Tour, first of all. Hey, before they came out with the films, I was there live. I mean, I was there last year, and oh my God, I was dancing for every single minute of the show. I mean, oh my God, the Reputation era, when she came in hitting it with Ready for It and Look What You Made Me Do and even Don't Blame Me. I mean, I was dropping it like it was hot, okay? Drop it like it's hot. I mean, even during Shake It Off, I was going low, 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 low. But I will agree with her on this. I draw the line at 3-hour movies. I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I can only afford to do an hour and a half to 2 hours of a film. I mean, I'm just going to be asleep in the movie theater being like, it's on, what? I don't think I solved anything, but you know what? To be fair, we don't solve anything on this show. Moving on. So I don't know if anyone has heard, but people are releasing books like crazy. I mean, people like Whoopi Goldberg, George Stephanopoulos, Sunny Hostin, and Bill Maher, just to name a few, are all selling books. And it got me thinking, I want to write one. And I mean, every time I hear about a celeb selling a book, I keep thinking I could do that. I could sit there and write one about how my life got to this point. And it would be called, What Did I Drink When I Was 10? I was also thinking to myself, what kind of book would I write? An autobiography? Maybe a fictional thriller? Or maybe an erotica? I mean, my mom did say everything happens for a reason, and I take that to heart because getting to where I am now was not an easy journey. I got smacked left, right, and center. Maybe that could be the title of my erotica. And I always thought that would be for an interesting novel, rather. Now, I want to try something here. I asked on social media, what kind of book should I write about? And what should it be called? And I got some great answers. One of them was the YQG In Bloom podcast commented on my Instagram. By the way, fun fact, I will be on that podcast coming up very soon. So make sure you stick around for that. And it's called How Did I Survive That SHIT Show? Which, looking at my life and looking at where we are now, how am I still surviving this type of show? I don't know. Anywho. Earlier, I posed a question to everyone on who would you want to narrate your life. And this is a topic that frequently comes up on social media every now and again. Now, I posed the very same question out on socials about who you would want to narrate your life, and the responses were vastly different. And I say this because that's actually a good thing. I mean, on these forums, people usually just comment the stereotypical, oh, Morgan Freeman, and it gets boring after a while. Now, I'm going to read some of the answers I got, and then I'll tell you who I would want to narrate my life. And by the way, this could either be dead or alive celebrities. Anywho, Paula Bastian said Daffy Duck. Ronnie Chambers said Tom Hanks. However, I did ask him to clarify between regular Tom Hanks or Forrest Gump Tom Hanks, and he said regular. I think Forrest Gump narrating a classic book would be funny. It would, actually. Victoria Alfini said Ozzy Osbourne. Rico Dancel said Mr. T. I pity the fool who would have to narrate my life. I got a few David Attenboroughs. I mean, who wouldn't want that? Wendy Benjamin coming in, hitting it out of the park with Gilbert Gottfried, who I would have loved to narrate my sex life. Or maybe my erotica book. Maybe. We don't know. Sally Craig said Wanda Sykes. Very good one. Madeleine Gagne-Chauvin said Julia Roberts. Johanna Vandenbogerade. I'm sorry if I butchered your name. I'm sorry. Morgan Freeman. Okay. Heather Hughes said Jim Parsons. And Caitlin Lee said Snoop Dogg. That'd be a good one, actually. Have him narrate a documentary about 420. Now, if there was anyone dead or alive I would want to narrate my life, I've given some really good thought to this, and I'm like, you know what? Sean Connery. I would like Sean Connery to narrate my voice, and I just feel in my heart, it would go something like this. Jacques is asleep in his bed when his alarm goes off. He then walks to the bathroom to take a leak and then brush his teeth, which looks sensational. He then walks up the stairs, makes breakfast, and then sits at the computer. Jacques soon grabs his belongings and leaves the house to host On Air. The bus arrives, and he sits there until it is time to get off. Jacques walks into the radio station and starts his show. He then leaves, gets back on the bus, and heads back home to sit down and relax, and even go to bed. No, please, no, that was awful. I swear, it's better than that. It is better than that. Oh my god, well, on today's show... Moving on today's show, I take you into the history of the most famous toy brand on Earth, Lego, duh, and I cap it off with the weirdest news found on the internet. You're watching On Air. Anyone who knows me knows that I love Lego. I have been collecting Lego since I was about 8 years old, or younger, and since then it has turned into a hobby. My parents call it an addiction, but who's to say? My love for Lego started when I was about in the 3rd grade, and it was playtime, and every single time I would go over to the big red box with all the Lego bricks in it, and I would just build. It wasn't until a short time after that me and my mom went to a yard sale, and I saw these red and blue Lego bins. I was like, Mommy, look. And so she bought them for me, leaving one larger purple tub behind. The next day, me and my mom went back to the house where the yard sale was at, and it was over. But the person would still sell her the purple tub that we left the other day. And nowadays, I have somewhat become a Lego professional, with multiple displays of different themes, including a Lego city called Legoville, a deep sea display, as well as a castle. And so that is my history with Lego. And by the way, I am going to post a picture of the bins to social media so you guys can take a look for yourself. That is actually the topic of this week's Did You Know? Lego was found in 1932 by a carpenter named Ole Kirk Christensen and started out as a line of wooden toys. Christensen would then call his company Lego, this coming from the Danish word legat, which translates to play well. Flash forward to 1949, and this is when Lego would start producing the first plastic brick, which was a precursor to the brick we know today. Ah, the minifigure. These figs can be found in just about every single set, and can range from city folk to knights, pirates, and just about everything in between. The minifigure was in development in the mid-1970s, and it wasn't until 1978 when the first Lego set would include the minifigure. As we get into the 80s and even the 90s, Lego was doing fantastic with sets like Pirates, Castles, and the Adventure series. However, in 1992, Lego saw its profits decline, which caused the company a great deal of concern. It wasn't until the early thousands that Lego started to recover thanks to the series Bionicle, which was a line that uses Technic building pieces to interlock it all together. And by 2005, Lego was well on its way back to popularity, and this included sets like Star Wars and the modular buildings in 2007. Nowadays, Lego has found popularity in the world of entertainment, including YouTube, where many YouTubers will show off their displays, such as their castles, Star Wars, and even custom Lego cities. Lego has found its way into other forms of entertainment, with many feature films and even video games, just to name a few. So I hope you learned about the history of Lego and what makes it a popular toy brand today. I'm Zach, and remember to keep calm, build on. We'll see you next time. I love watching TV, and I'll pretty much sit and watch anything, really. I also love movies, from comedy, romance, and horror. I also don't care what decade it's from. It could be from the 80s, the 90s, the thousands, and I'll still sit and watch it. Now, I can actually remember a time when there was this thing called appointment television. If there was a show on at 9, you had to be in front of your TV at 9, or else you would miss that show. And you would have to wait until the summer when it was reruns in order to catch it again. Of course, that was back in my day. Back in my day before this streaming and this, watching it whenever you want. Oh, man, forget about it. I mean, if you miss the show, you can stream it the very next day and catch up, which is actually very nice. All of this, history of TV, all these old movies, TVs, and all that stuff, inspired a segment called Views and Reviews. And this is where I'll talk about all kinds of entertainment, and I'll rate it also out of 5 Z's. So with that said, it's time for that part of the show where I talk about all forms of entertainment, new and old. Time for Zach's Views and Reviews. On today's edition, I want to talk about what I think is the most highly anticipated film, at least in my book, Twisters. Yes, the reboot to the 1996 film Twister will be spinning into theaters July 19th, and I will be going to see it. Probably more than once, as I have many people interested in seeing it as well. Now, when they announced this film, I was so excited for it, as I was a fan of the original film starring Helen Hunt and the late, great Bill Paxton. As I was reading the details of the movie, I, like many of you, were shocked that Helen Hunt would not reprise her role as Dr. Joe Harding. Instead, the film looks to be independent from the first film, and upon looking at the trailer, this looks to have the same formula as the first one as well, with several scenes looking similar to the first one. Twisters also looks insane and highly intense, and one thing I have yet to see is if there will be a scene with flying cows. I mean, who can remember that scene from the original?
Cow. I gotta go, Julia. We got cows.
From flying cows to giant crocodiles, we head to Lake Placid for the film of the same name. This 1999 flick revolves around a group of different individuals trying to capture a monstrous 30-foot crocodile. I will say, compared to other monster films such as Anaconda and King Kong, this one is highly underrated. Oh, did I mention this film also stars Betty White as an elderly widow who lives on the lake? Anywho, this film was really enjoyable, and it also let the suspense drive the film in certain scenes, which for me is a plus for a film like this. However, I do wish that there could be, a little more, there could have been a little more of that. And like I said before, Betty White also stars as a secondary character and nailed her lines as only Betty White can. The gold star moment is when she is about to get arrested and brilliantly delivers the line, "If this is the part where I had a D, I'll tell you to suck it." She knocked it out of the park. 4 Z's on that alone. Well, that's this week's Views and Reviews. What are you watching? No, really, what are you watching? Let me know. I want to know. Moving on to more entertainment, I have been watching so much stuff as of late, which gave me the idea to create a segment where I can help you find something to watch. Here is the first edition of Zach's Watch List. My first entry here is a must, Abbott Elementary. This show revolves around Willard R. Abbott Elementary School, and it's a predominantly black Philadelphia public school where a documentary crew is recording the lives of teachers working in underfunded, mismanaged schools. Conditions at the schools are harsh, and most teachers quit after their second year. A group of dedicated, passionate teachers and a slightly tone-deaf principal find themselves thrown together in a Philadelphia public school where, despite the odds stacked against them, they are determined to help their students succeed in life through these incredible public servants. Maybe outnumbered, rather, and underfunded, they love what they do, even if they don't love the school district's less than stellar attitude toward educating children. And you can stream the first 2 seasons of Abbott Elementary on Disney+.
Thank you for being a friend. Travel down the road and back again.
You know that theme song, and you'll know my next entry is The Golden Girls. This 80s TV classic revolves around 4 mature women living together in Miami and experience the joys and angst of their golden years. Strong-willed Dorothy, spacey Rose, lusty Southern Belle Blanche, and matriarch Sophia, Dorothy's mom, occasionally clash but are there for each other in the end. I gotta say, once you start watching, you really can't stop. This can also be streamed on Disney+.
Are you ready for it?
Lastly, on my entry is Taylor Swift's The Eras Tour. Now, if you are unable to see this 3.5-hour masterpiece in person, you can catch it on Disney Plus in all its magical glory. Take a journey with Swift through 18 years of her music, anywhere from her country days to her pop days, and just everywhere in between. This version does consist of 6 surprise songs in addition to the ones performed in the actual concert. That's my watch list for this week. If there is something you think I should watch, leave me a comment or please DM me on social media. Alright, I gotta ask, does anyone remember the famous pie scene from The Help? The exact part where Octavia Spencer's character makes the famous pie made of poop? Well, this story is a very extreme version of that. North Korea sent South Korea balloons of garbage and manure. Yeah. Around 260 air balloons carrying bags of manure and trash have been spotted across South Korea on Wednesday after they were sent over the border from North Korea, according to South Korea's Joint Chiefs of Staff. The incident reportedly stems from an incident on Saturday when North Korea criticized civic groups in Seoul for sending propaganda leaflets across the border, first and subsequently threatened to send filth balloons back to South Korea as a countermeasure. ABC News has learned from the North Korean vice defense minister on the regime's official news outlet. Well, that's what happens when you start sending poop. As if that wasn't weird enough, it's Friday, which means it's time to take a look at the weirdest news found on the internet. That's right, it's time for Weird News. Okay, when you hear Montana, what animal do you think of? A bear? A beaver? Well, an elephant was seen crossing a busy street in Butte, Montana. The elephant Viola was taking a pre-show bath when the sound of a car backfiring scared the animal. And that's when it bolted, breaking through a fence, stopping noontime traffic. Viola did return about 10 minutes after she escaped. Man, talk about a huge ordeal. Alrighty, normally we head back home to the Great White North, but we are heading south to the state of Florida because space junk has landed in a Florida home. The large metal object crashed through 2 layers of ceiling, and NASA confirmed the object was jettisoned from the orbiting outpost in March of 2021. Following a sample at the Kennedy Space Center, they believe that the object came from the International Space Station and it has been falling for the last 3 years. Well, that is your weirdness for this week. Alright, so now I'm actually going to reach into what I'm going to call Zach's Sack of Dad Jokes. Today, I have... What's our dad joke for today? I have an addiction to cheddar cheese. Thankfully, it's only mild. There you go. There you go. That's it. That's the good stuff. That's the kind of humor we aim for here on air. Seriously, you can't make this stuff up. Well, that is the show for you all this evening. I hope you had fun. I know I did. These episodes will be available soon on my YouTube channel, Zachattackproductions. So like, comment, subscribe, and make sure you're following there because they will be available soon. I also want to say thank you to the Mediaplex here in Windsor for letting me use their radio facility. I've been your host, Zach, and I'll see you again next week. Same place, same time. And now, here to play us out, Semisonic with Closing Time.
Closing time. Open all the doors and let you out into the world. Closing time. Turn all of the lights on over every boy and every girl. Closing time. One last call for alcohol, so finish your whiskey or beer. Closing time. You don't have to go home, but you can't stay